Welcome to OysterLink and thank you for joining us today. So, before we start, could you please introduce yourself and tell us briefly about your career path?
Sure. My name is Kristianne Descher. I am a pastry chef, a chef instructor, and a culinary educator. I've been in the industry for 27 years, and I have been kind of all over the industry, working in restaurants, catering, Michelin star restaurants, everything. And now I'm an educator for the past 10 and a half years, which I love and adore. So that's kind of where I started and kind of where I'm at right now.
27 years. Wow, that's impressive, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
So, as far as I know, being a pastry chef was not part of your original plan. But
No,
someone
it
told
wasn't.
you, I don't hire women to work on my line, and that changed everything for you. And if you
It
don't
did.
mind, I would like for our audience to hear that story from you.
Yeah, so I was coming out of culinary school and I had already worked in restaurants for quite a number of years, but it was just, for extra money, I didn't think it was a career path for me. It put me through college and things like that. But after culinary school, I was looking to leave the corporate job I was at and really pursue this full time. And so I went in because I was already a line cook and I wanted to kind of take on a little bit more. So I applied for a sous chef position at this restaurant. I got a call right back. So I showed up and he said, "Oh, well, I don't hire women for my line." And he said it right to my face, and it kind of took me aback because I had not been kind of faced with that kind of um, I guess, blunt truth from somebody like that in the industry yet. It was kind of a wake up call for myself. And, I just took that and I said, after I could kind of come to my bearings, I was like, okay, you called me to come interview for this position. Like, why would you call me? He's like, well, I actually really need a pastry chef. Do you do pastry? And I said, because I was already kind of put off by what he said, and I said, yeah, of course I do. Pastry's easy. Um, and I hadn't. Pastry was very much an alien thing to me, and I said, yeah, of course I can. It's super easy. And so I only had two pastry classes under my belt from when I went to culinary school. And he said, okay, great, I'm going to hire you. You're my new pastry chef. And so my approach to it was he hired me, and I thought, I'm going to spend every single day proving this man wrong. And I did. And I ended up excelling, and joke's on me because I ended up loving it, and now I focus on pastries. So maybe I should be thanking him instead of, airing out his dirty laundry.
Surprised you even took the job, by the way. You were able to work with this man. For how long did that relationship last?
Not long. I kind of knew from my own work experience that a person with this kind of outlook, attitude, the whole thing, he's not going to last long. And he didn't. He only lasted about a month after I had started. So we kind of had new management come in, which changed like the whole vibe of the restaurant and things like that. So it ended up being not a toxic place to work. And I really enjoyed it. I really did.
That's good. And today, you mentioned that you are an educator, so do you only teach or do you still take any jobs? Do you work as a pastry chef somewhere?
Yeah, so I'm still a pastry chef. I still work for a catering company. I've worked for them for 14 years, and I continue to work for them just because I enjoy it so much, and I want to still have my hands in the industry. I still do as well, wedding cakes and special events and things like that. I do like pastry spreads for weddings and that kind of thing. So I still do a lot of freelance things. But that's on the side where my primary career is going to be educating.
Nice. And based on your education experience, what are the biggest misconceptions students have about becoming a chef?
Well, right away, I think most people think when they go to culinary school, they're going to come out of culinary school and they're going to be chefs. And I think that's the number one misconception in this industry. And that's where I really try to talk to them if this is really what they want to do. I try to tell them, look, It's a lot of hard work. You start at the bottom, you work your way up, but don't come in and be cocky and think, oh, I have a culinary degree, now I'm going to come in and be running this kitchen. You're not, unless you have that experience. You start at the bottom, you're not making great money. It's long hours, weekends, holidays, the whole thing, and it's that part of it is not talked about enough with young people. And so I think that's really the biggest misconception is they come in and think, oh, I have a culinary degree now, I'm gonna be a chef. And it's like, not quite. It's gonna take you some time to get there. But you can get there with hard work, but it's gonna take some time.
Maybe also the social media influence, all the TV shows about like all those chef shows, it has its own influence on everyone in this industry.
It sure does. Again, it's glamorizing something and it's such a little part. Like, I mean, I've been on Food Network, I've done that. No part of that was glamorous. No part of it. And it's everybody thinks, oh, that's what's cool. You get to be on TV. It's not. If that's what you're going for, it's a totally different kind of mindset than being in the industry. It's shooting for social media, for TikTok, for Reels, things like that. That takes time and the editing and all that, and students don't realize, oh my gosh, I tried to edit this video and it took me all weekend. I'm like, yeah, it's work. It's a lot of work to do all that. And if that's what you want to do, fantastic, but you got to really put in the work to do that. And it's different than just being a chef. It's really different.
It's not only about walking into a kitchen and just yelling at everyone. This is probably
It's
one of
true.
those, misconceptions about this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And these days the yelling doesn't really happen as much. That's a really toxic
Yep.
kitchen. So that part too, I'm kind of thankful that part is a little bit over and not as true as maybe the bear maybe seems that it is like now. But yeah, most restaurants there's not a lot of yelling. It's a lot of quiet. Like I worked at Bouchon in Beverly Hills, and I got to open up that location with Thomas Keller. He's such an amazing chef, and I mean the kitchen in there silent. It was quiet. You don't speak over a certain level. Everybody's in a flow. It's a very non-toxic kind of experience in that way to be in the kitchen for service. And the reality is, kitchens are not always about yelling and kind of high stress environment like that, how Hell's Kitchen and things like that show it to be.
May I ask you, what advice would you give job seekers on the market today? For example, let's say, is it better to focus on building social media presence or looking for a job the traditional way, or what are your advices?
Um, I think it's really important get out there. It depends on what you want to do in the industry. If you want to be a social media chef, totally different than being a chef in a kitchen. Um, it's kind of like the saying, not all chefs can teach, not all teachers can be a chef. We say that a lot in the where kind of in our industry, because chefs will come in and they can't really show somebody else how to do it in a way that the students understand. So it's like they can execute, but it's really hard to convey that to someone to replicate, right? So teaching a technique is really difficult sometimes. Whereas we could do it with our eyes closed, but to show somebody how to do it is really hard. It depends on what the student wants to do. If they want to be just a social media personality, totally different. A lot of students these days, that's what they want to do. I'm finding more and more students are finding that to be the draw to come into this industry. And it's not glamorous, and that's part of it. It's the kitchen's dirty. We're sweating all the time. It's a lot of work. Carrying like big bags of flour around. There's nothing about that that's glamorous. When people see the finished product, it's beautiful, and that's what they see, and they're like, that's what we wanted. That's amazing. But that's the end. You're seeing the very end of all the production that went on before that last piece. I think with students, I tell them the more you get your name out there, the better. Post your food on social media. Get all your food posted that you're doing. Let people know what you're doing, but at the same time, apply to jobs and work in a kitchen. That's the only way you're going to get the experience on hands-on, is actually applying to these jobs, getting in there, If it says, we're looking for prep people, get into the kitchen. How do you even know if you want to be in that kitchen unless you like feel how the kitchen flow works with, your flow? Maybe it's not the place for you. And not all kitchens are for everybody. There's going to be different um, I hate to say vibes, but you have a feeling in different kitchens that you work in, like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, for example, the caterer I work for, I enjoy it so much. And the owners are fantastic, so I will work for them until they no longer have a business because I enjoy it so much. But, I've worked in toxic environments and it's not, you can pretty much tell. You're like, this is not where I'm going to be. And I've worked in enough kitchens over my years to know kind of when it works and when it doesn't. But it's important for students to try, get out there, and they get to see too, this kitchen's amazing. I want to learn all I can, or maybe the chef is screaming at them the whole time and it's really hard. It's a toxic environment and they don't want to be there. Maybe it's super disorganized. Maybe it's not clean. And that's another big red flag, in the industry. So you kind of take little things from everywhere you work. So I just tell my students, get out there, work, get to work, do the hard work, and then you're going to kind of see where you want to end up.
By the way, your social media presence is really good. I mean, your Instagram account, you have a lot of followers. And what about the production? Do you do your own production? Is there someone who's helping you with your production?
I just do it all myself. I
That's
film as much
nice.
as I can. And I talk to my class like when I'm filming, like, are you guys okay if I film this, or can I capture this? And I always ask, but I film what I do, and that's why kind of I think it comes out genuine because I mean I'm so busy in different classes and different things, and I try to capture every moment that I can, and I think that's what kind of as everybody is seeing is that kind of life, which is different. It's different than the glamorous lifestyle of someone who's working in a restaurant and things like that. And a lot of people don't get to see that part.
I even noticed a few episodes. You had like a show called What the Hell Is It?
Yeah,
And then
I
you
did.
started, so what the hell was that? What was the concept behind it?
Actually, I'm thinking about coming back to it. It's
You
so
have
the
to.
premise. I know. The premise behind it is that I was actually in a Asian store. I was in an Asian market, and someone picked up something and said, "What the hell is this?" And I heard it, and I turned around, and it was like this giant gourd of some kind, and I was like, "Oh, it's this," and they're like, "Oh man, what do you do with it?" And so I said, "Yeah, well, you can probably braise it, you can roast it, you can make some soup out of it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this would be a great concept for just all these weird ingredients that every culture has that nobody talks about. There's a million recipes out there around the world of different things, but what if you're just at the farmer's market or a store and you pick something up and you're like, what do I do with this? And so I was like, that's a great concept. So I did a few of those a couple years ago, but I think I'm going to be back and doing them again because I've been asked, like, so many people ask me for it. It's kind of amazing. So I think I'm going to go back to it for sure.
Reminded me, by the way, of my own experience. I spent a lot of years in Asia, and that was one of the things I used to say, like, what the hell is this? What the hell is
I
this?
know.
That is
There's so
something you
many
say all the
weird.
time. Like,
Yeah,
yes.
there's so many weird, elements, especially, I mean, I'm half Asian, so I grew up in an Asian market, and so I see a lot of things, and I'm like, oh man, I remember eating that from my childhood, but I don't know how to prepare it. So I'll just do a bunch of research on it and be like, let's just do an episode on it and talk about it, because probably I'm not the only one that thinks like this. Or maybe someone, who's not from my culture comes in and is like, oh my gosh, this is like an alien world. What is all this stuff, right? Where I live, there's a lot of Hispanic markets, and so I go into like the different markets. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many cool things that we could talk about. So many,
Yeah.
like, just every culture. It's really cool. So,
Nice. And do you plan, or say, let's say, dream about having your own place one day?
ooh, that's a good question. I did when I was younger. I always wanted to have like an Asian fusion restaurant. But
Hmm.
I live in California, and it's really, really expensive. And I have a lot of friends that opened businesses and they've closed. So I think what I will focus on in the future is maybe trying out kind of maybe doing some pop-up concepts, or Something along those lines. I think that's kind of where the industry is going anyway. Is more pop-ups, less brick and mortar. Where I live, a lot of the chain restaurants have kind of taken over and pushed a lot of the mom and pop restaurants out, which is a shame. And so I really think that's kind of like the future of it. And also like all these ghost kitchens and things happening, I'm kind of like looking at different options and things like that. But opening like a brick and mortar restaurant itself, not so sure. It's just so much red tape and so much legalese that is just kind of ridiculous in California.
Yep. So thank you so much for your time today. I hope that like our audience at OysterLink are going to be inspired by this, by your career path, because again, what you mentioned today, how you were not planning to become a pastry chef, and look at you today. You're an educator, and this is what you teach people how to do. And when they check your Instagram account, it's so delicious, by the way, everything. You
Thank you.
like, yeah, you ruined my diet. I was just like watching everything. I'm like, oh my God, that's not good to do.
Well, I just love to play with it too. Like I love playing with food, and I think that's one thing that people are really don't do enough. It's like you can experiment and do really cool things with food and play with your food. And I think that's what a lot of students are really scared and timid of doing. But it's just so much fun. And I just don't take myself so seriously. I'm just like, it's just food. We all got to eat. So just play with it and have a good time with it. So
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.